Hello and welcome. Tonight, former Commonwealth Secretary-General Emeka Anyaoku calls for a new constitution for the nation, laments the impact of corruption in the country. With less than a month to the governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, Independent National Electoral Commission INEC promises improved performance in the polls. And federal government says the third mainland bridge in Lagos will be closed for 6 months from January 2024 to undergo reconstruction.
On business news tonight, President Bola Tinubu approves appointment of Shekar Chira as new Auditor General of the Federation following recommendation by the Federal Civil Service Commission.
On sports news tonight, France forward Karim Benzema goes from hero to villain as Al Ittihad draw 1-1 with Al Tawun in the Saudi Pro League.
From the nation's capital, President Bola Tinubu approves waiver of no work, no pay order for resident doctors and academic staff union of universities, paving the way for full payment of withheld salaries for the doctors and 4 months for the lecturers.
And in international news from London, Egyptian diggers are trying to repair the bomb-damaged Rafah crossing into Gaza amid hopes 20 aid lorries could go in.
We begin tonight with a call by former Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, for a new Nigerian constitution. Chief Anyaoku, who made the call today while delivering the 2023 convocation lecture of Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti, says the current constitution has lost its relevance and only a brand new one can take the country out of the doldrums. Chief Anyaoku also expressed disappointment that the country's diversity has not been well managed in recent years. Our correspondent, Babajide Agbeyo, reports.
It's the 2023 convocation lecture of Afe Babalola University in Ekiti State, and distinguished attendees are here to see the guest speaker, former Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, analyze the paper focusing on management of diversity, a major challenge to governance in pluralistic countries.
If truth be told.
From a wider perspective, Chief Anyaoku profiles countries that successfully managed their diversities and those that failed, including those bedeviled by religious and sectarian differences.
It is an undeniable fact that Nigeria's diversity was more successfully managed in the early years of our country's independence. During that period, Nigeria's diversity was perceived by all as a source of strength and inspirer of national unity.
Narrowing down to Nigeria, Chief Anyaoku is worried at the current economic downturn, the spate of insecurity and the level of corruption that has fueled global disdain of Nigeria and Nigerians. And he profiles a way out.
I call on the presidency, in consultation with the National Assembly, instead of continuing to tinker with the 1999 Constitution, to acknowledge the urgent necessity of a new constitution to be made by the people of Nigeria. To this end, I invite the federal government to immediately embark on the following practical steps. First, convene a National Constituent Assembly of directly elected on a non-party basis representatives whose task would be to discuss and agree a new constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The founder of ABUAD, Chief Afe Babalola, who has also made similar calls in the past, is excited to see a respectable Chief Anyoku share his thoughts for a new constitution that takes politics as service to the people.
People believe that the only lucrative business in this country today is politics. I refer to it. And if it is politics, what politics about? It is the Constitution, which has made politics the only lucrative business, not law, not engineering. We have, for 30 years, I've been writing about the Constitution. The root cause of our problem, unless we address it, that mindset will remain.
Although other commentators here align with most of Chief Anyoku's recommendations, the responsibility of having a new constitution lies with state and federal lawmakers. That is, after it must have been put to a debate by Nigerians. Babajide Agbeyo, Channels Television News.
To electoral matters now, and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is promising an improved performance during the November 11th governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this at a meeting with national commissioners and administrative secretaries in the nation's capital of Abuja, and said the commission will apply lessons learned from the 2023 general elections for a better outing. INEC is hoping to deploy over 46,000 regular and ad hoc staff, as well as 11,000 local and international observers for the elections in the 3 states.
All non-sensitive materials for the election have been delivered to the 3 states. Other preparatory activities, including training, are on course. Valuable lessons have been learned from the 2023 general election for improved performance in the forthcoming elections. Last week, we concluded a mock accreditation involving actual voters in designated polling units in the 3 states. We look forward to improved performance of the beavers in voter accreditation and result upload in the forthcoming elections. While we are leaving none unturned in other areas of preparations for the governorship election, the Commission plans to deploy a total of 46,084 regular and ad hoc staff for the election. We have so far accredited 126 national and international organizations, collectively deploying 11,000 observers for the election. Such massive deployment requires a secure environment which is beyond our immediate responsibilities. As we said repeatedly, we are concerned about the prevailing insecurity and election-related violence in the 3 states.
Over now to Kogi, one of the states where the elections will be taking place, and the National Association of Okun Students have thrown their weight behind the candidate of Senator Dino Melaye of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. The president of the association, Mr. Ajibade David, gave the group's position while addressing journalists in Lokoja, the state capital. Mr. David states that the group has narrowed its choice to the PDP candidate after carefully analyzing the capacity, experience and competence of the 3 contestants from the Kogi West Senatorial District.
We, however, record that we have 3 candidates from our district, Kogi West, all of whom are of Okun extraction. We also have access to the 3, but after a careful analysis of the experience, the political network, and impact across the district, the viability of their political parties, and their capacity to leverage on state and national political structures, the inevitable and logical conclusion is that the PDP candidate, Senator Dino Melaye, is the best among them based on all relevant criteria, which are capacity, acceptability, political experience, accessibility, intellectual prowess, and political structure. I will start by explaining from capacity. In terms of capacity, we all know in Nigeria today, Senator Dino Melaye is seen as a voice of the voiceless. I mean, Senator Dino Melaye is a man of all. The PDP candidate has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he has all it takes to make our dear state a prosperous place for all and sundry. The candidacy, the capacities he demonstrated during his last head positions are second to none in our history, I mean in Kogi West history as a whole.
Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, is calling for a peaceful conduct of the Kogi governorship election as the party urges residents of the state to shun all forms of political violence and thuggery. Addressing party faithful at Koton-Karfe local government area, the candidate of the party, Mr. Lekki Abejide, says he is prepared to work with security agencies to curtail the activities of political thugs.
Determined to reach every nook and corner of Kogi State ahead of the November 11, 2023 governorship election, the African Democratic Congress takes its campaign to Koton-Karfe, where the paramount ruler of the area pronounces his blessings on the candidate.
What has been done wrong and what can you think you can do better? So the only way candidates can market themselves, not by violence. It's not paying us. So it's my prayer. We have come to seek for our blessing, which I had given you before. So today again we are here to receive the same blessing. And I want to say, have my blessing.
The ADC campaign team then proceeds to this town hall meeting with stakeholders in the state, where former political office holders pledge their support for the candidate who is reaffirming his commitment to address issues of irregular salaries.
We here today, we are all political office holders that have suffered enough hardship. With your presence, we believe that you are going to rescue us from this mess. And that is why we have to give you total support. You are a home person. This is West. Our agitation it's our time, our local.
You can see from my chest, see his own. 2 hands joined together. That is where you go put your hand on. Anywhere you see broom, make you not put hand there. Where you see umbrella don't tear.
The train is received with celebration at the campaign ground by the party supporters. The candidate promises to empower women in the state.
You are going to form yourself into a group of cooperatives. And I already made provision that each group will be given 5 million naira each.
The ADC campaign train then departs the town with a promise to sensitize the electorate in other parts of the state.
In part 2, after the break, President Bola Tinubu approves waiver of no work, no pay order for resident doctors and academic staff union of universities, paving the way for full payment of withheld salaries for the doctors and 4 months for the lecturers. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Former Commonwealth Secretary General Emeka Anyokwu calls for a new constitution for the nation, laments the impact of corruption in the country. With less than governorship elections, Imo and Kogi states, the National Electoral Commission promises improved performance in the polls. Federal government says the third mainland bridge in Lagos will be closed for 6 months from January 2024 to undergo reconstruction. And Israel confirms the release of 2 American hostages held by Hamas. Over the years since it was opened for public use, the third mainland bridge will be reconstructed early next year. And that's according to the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos State, Mrs. Olukorede Keisha. Mrs. Keisha, who was speaking on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily, says the current administration decided to do a complete overhaul of the layers of asphalt on the bridge to give it a new lease of life. According to her, the reconstruction of the bridge will last for 6 months.
Sectional repairs over the time. We look at the areas that failed, and then we promptly attend to that area. And when you attend to this area this year, you discover that another area is going to come up next year. And that's what we've been doing year in, year out. But now the last administration decided that, okay, let's do more than that. We do sectional repairs of failed sections. But this new administration is saying no. Because if we do that, we're going to have what we have been doing before. Next year, another place is going to show up as a failure. So we're saying, okay, let's do complete overhauling of the asphalt overlay. Some of them have been long overdue because we have not done that in the last 30 years. It's just the failures that show up that we have been addressing here on both bounds, then replacing it with new ones. So that will give us a relief for the next maybe 10 years. Okay. The federal government has awarded that contract to a contractor already. Okay. Preparatory works, pending when the contractor will move to site because of some elements of repairs that has to be imported. That's why I cannot fully move to site at the moment. Okay. So pending that, we just want to do palliative works to provide relief for the motoring public.
Okay. How long is that likely to take?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
And when is it likely to begin?
January, ending of January.
Next year?
Yes, 2024. Okay. Because it's going to take the contractor 3 months to import those elements. Okay. Some of the elements that will be needed for the complete repairs. Okay.
So the third mainland bridge is going to be closed for 6 months?
For 6 months,
next year?
Next
completely.
Year. Completely.
There was heavy presence of police personnel at the Lekki Toll Gate earlier today, where some youth led by popular skit maker Adeboale Adedayo, otherwise known as Mr. Macaroni, had gathered to commemorate the shootings that occurred there on October the 20th, 2020. It's 3 years since the protest against police brutality, which shook the nation, as the youth took to the streets in different parts of the country to demand the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian Police under the hashtag #EndSARS. Now, the protest culminated in a procession at the Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos, which was violently disrupted by the military. Amnesty International says a total of 15 protesters arrested in 2020 are still being arbitrarily detained. The Lagos State Police Command had warned that it would not tolerate any form of gathering at the Lekki Toll Gate. So let's head to the nation's capital, and Terry Kumi is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Terry.
Well, great to see you. I was hoping you'd start off by saying thank God it's Friday, but it's okay. It's cheering news for members of the National Association of Resident Doctors following President Bola Tinubu's approval for a waiver of the no work, no pay order taken against striking members of the association following their 17 days industrial action in July, making way for all withheld salaries to be paid. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation had been directed to withhold all salaries accrued by the striking doctors during their strike action. A statement by presidential spokesperson Ajuri Ngilali, however, says the president has directed the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, as well as the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, to secure a document of understanding establishing that the waiver granted by the president will be the last one to be granted to the National Association of Resident Doctors and all other health sector unions. In a similar vein, the president has approved the partial waiver of the no work, no pay order that was instituted against striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, following their 8 months industrial action last year, and ordered the payment of 4 months of their withheld salaries. A statement by the presidential spokesperson says the president took this decision by invoking the principle of the presidential prerogative of mercy, and in recognition of the faithful implementation of terms agreed upon by ASU and the federal government. The president, however, directed the grant of the waiver with a mandatory requirement that the Federal Ministry of Education and the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment secure a document of understanding establishing that this exceptional waiver granted by the president will be the last one to be granted to the Academic Staff Union of Universities and all other education sector unions. President Bola Tinubu has met with the special envoy of the President of South Korea, Mr. Won Young, to discuss the expansion of investment and trade ties across key sectors of Nigeria's economy. The meeting at the State House was a follow-up to productive discussions between President Tinubu and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol during the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi, India. President Tinubu commended the efforts that have been made in implementing the commitments made during the discussions with President Yoon in India, and emphasized the need for greater South Korean investment in the establishment of local industries for youth employment and technology transfer as Nigeria seeks to understudy and replicate South Korea's national transportation system. The special envoy delivered President Yoon's letter to President Tinubu outlining the South Korean president's instructions to South Korea's ministries to diligently implement the important projects discussed during their meeting on the margins of the G20 summit, including the conclusion of the trade and investment promotion framework between both countries. Now, at least 10 persons have allegedly been killed in a bank robbery by a gang of armed robbers in Otukpo local government area of Benue State. According to local sources in Otukpo, the armed robbers came in their numbers and attacked 5 commercial banks in the town. 3 policemen are said to have been killed in the attack that lasted 2 hours. According to a witness, the robbers, who were spotted in 2 Hilux pickup vans and 1 other vehicle, stormed the bank at about 4:30 p.m. brandishing various weapons. Although the police public relations officer in Benue State, Sewese Anene, has confirmed the incident, details of the casualty figures are still unknown. The Federal Capital Development Authority has debunked allegations that the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has given directives to demolish the National Mosque in Abuja. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the Executive Secretary, Mr. Shehu Ahmad, explained that the minister, at a meeting with members of the Abuja Mosque management, led by the Etsunupe Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar on land revocation, had rather promised to render assistance while extending the grace period. Now, religious leaders in Kaduna State have met with Governor Obasani to engage in a crucial discussion about finding enduring solutions to the state's ethno-religious conflict and various security challenges. The Christian delegation was led by the CAN chairman in the state, Reverend Joseph Hayab, while their Muslim counterparts were led by the JNI chairman, Professor Shafiu Abdullahi. During the meeting, Governor Sani made a significant commitment to lead an inclusive government that would work closely with all stakeholders to tackle a spectrum of pressing issues in the state.
Religious leaders from the 23 local government areas of the state converge on the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua Hall in the Kaduna State capital for a meeting with the state's Inter-Religious Harmony Committee. Governor Obasani, accompanied by his deputy, Dr. Hadiza Balarabe, and other senior members of his cabinet, are present at the meeting. The agenda is mainly focused on governance and tackling the security challenges in Kaduna State.
We are still on course, running participatory and collective governance for the overall security, peace and development of Kaduna State. As a government, we are conscious of the importance and influence of religious leaders in nation building and also as critical stakeholders of our state.
Governor Obasani begins his remarks by apprising the clerics of the challenges his administration met on ground and how they plan to address the problems, including the lingering insecurity, high rate of out-of-school children, and poverty, particularly in the rural communities.
How can we address the problem of education in Kaduna State when you have children of the poor who are supposed to be in the classroom, they are roaming the street, and you want to solve the problem of insecurity? It cannot happen. You must take them back to school. You must take them back to school. If we don't do that, forget it. Again, we did a lot of research. Why do you think they are out there, they are at home? It's because if we don't reduce the poverty crisis from 80% to 30% in the next few years, we will never address the problem of out-of-school children.
Governor Sani reiterates his commitment to participatory governance, which he says is key to effectively serving the people. He, however, solicits the support of the religious leaders in restoring harmony in Kaduna.
You have better avenue to communicate message than any other politician. So if you agree that we are going to live in peace, we will live in peace. For us as government, we will be fair to everyone. We will treat everyone equally. We will be just to everyone.
The state government says this meeting will be regular in order to boost the citizens' confidence in the leadership and help guide the government's activities for effective impact.
The drive to foster unity within African nations and build connections is at the fore once again as the push to ensure smooth travels within Africa records another partnership. This was realized as the first Ugandan air flight arrived in Lagos from Entebbe at the Muritara Mohammed International Airport. According to the Ugandan and Nigerian delegation, the need to improve relations across all economic fronts is important in the drive for unity on the African continent.
In fostering African development, individual nations within the continent have found the need to partner in ensuring stability and the realization of the Africapitalism idea. A recent partnership that has come to life is one that started some years back between Nigeria and Uganda, with the aim of improving trade, investment and economic partnerships, especially in aviation and the transport sector. That partnership has led to the inaugural flight from Entebbe to Lagos, a channel between East and West Africa, and one both nations seek to foster. As a ritual in aviation, a water cannon salute welcomes the Boeing 777 jet after a 3-hour 45-minute flight time from Entebbe to Lagos. For the Nigerian Aviation Authority, Nigeria will continue to remain open to the connectivity of African nations to improve tourism, trade, investment and economic growth.
Aviation remains the best way for Africa to connect her people and promote inter-Africa business in line with Africa's 2063 agenda.
The importance of fostering cordial relationships between both nations is further revealed by representatives from Uganda.
I wish, Honorable Minister, to point out that these efforts are in line with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs policy of pursuing commercial and economic diplomacy with the primary objective of further strengthening bilateral relations and trade.
The Ugandan delegation also expresses their desire to see Nigerian carriers carry out landings at the Entebbe International Airport and reveal ways to foster development between both nations.
If you're flying to Mumbai or Dubai, you don't have to go 10 hours across the nations. You just come to Entebbe, 3.5 hours, and you're in Dubai, another 4.5 hours. So we have closed the gap between the East Africa and the West.
With 3 frequencies weekly from Lagos to Entebbe in Uganda, travelers seeking connectivity to choice destinations in and out of Africa now have a new route with the aim of reducing long travel hours.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, President Bola Tinubu approves appointment of Shaka Chira as Substantive Auditor General of the Federation. That's on Business News. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Promasidor, a leading provider of high-quality food products across Africa, has relaunched its Onga Chicken Cube. The head of sales strategy for Promasidor, Mr. Oyelere Atoyebi, says the product is not just about great taste and aroma, but also a heartfelt nod to mothers, children, and all food enthusiasts who treasure unforgettable flavor. He notes that the relaunched Onga Chicken Cube is also profitable for distributors and retailers.
Onga Chicken Seasoning, a dry stock powder, is now rebranded and repackaged, giving a superior taste and aroma. Promasidor, one of the leading producers of a range of products including cooking ingredients that bring exceptional taste to food, has brought together its distributors to witness the relaunch of Onga Chicken Cube.
Put your hands together for us, put your hands together.
And the journey so far since it was introduced into the market.
Onga was introduced into the Nigerian market in 2004, like we see. And we now have reformulated our Onga chicken cubes to be better than what you would see in the market out there. So this is a cube that delivers on the great chicken taste. It delivers on the aroma.
The company says the seasoning is well packaged with the ability to transform ordinary chicken dishes into extraordinary culinary creations, which is also a way of meeting the consumer's demand.
We are relaunching with 2 SKUs. We're relaunching with the small SKU, which is the by 15 cubes and by 45 cubes, right? So to cater to every consumer pocket and lifestyle. It contains natural ingredients that caters to our consumer needs.
Promasidor is assuring retailers of more profit from the relaunched Onga chicken seasoning.
We'll be doing an offer for our distributors, and there are 2 bands. The first band is orders of 3,000 cases and above gets 9%. Across all the configurations, whether it's by 15 or by 45. So if you order 3,000 cases above today and your ensure payment is made the following day, you get 9% discount. And also if you order band B, if you order between 1,000 cases to 3,000 cases, you get a 6% discount.
What we are driving at is our distributors can have something to sell to different kind of people based on the affordability of their pockets. And our distributors, they are going to make more margins on this. This has been carefully formulated in such a way that everybody in the trade, both distributors, both retailers, wholesalers, can get something profitable, from selling our proposition.
It also promises to sustain the quality of the product for its consumers.
So if you get from this new package.
It's time now for some business news with Anne Wilder. Anne?
Thank you, Ayotunde. Hello and welcome to Business News. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Shaka Chira as the Substantive Auditor General of the Federation, as recommended by the Federal Civil Service Commission. As outlined in a statement released by the Special Advisor on Media to the President during Gilale, President Tinubu approved Mr. Chira's appointment after the FCSC conducted a screening exercise that identified him as the most qualified candidate who had also scored the highest in the examination amongst all qualified candidates for the office. President Tinubu has asked the new Auditor General to justify the confidence reposed in him and to live up to the high expectations that Nigerians have concerning the execution of the renewed hope agenda of his administration. Meanwhile, the president has also confirmed the appointment of Adewale Adeniyi as the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service. According to a statement by the presidency, the appointment takes effect from October the 19th, 2023, while his tenure is by extent provision of the Public Service Rules. Mr. Adeniyi, who has been acting as the Comptroller General after taking over from Hamid Ali in June, had also served as the Customs National Public Relations Officer at its headquarters in Abuja, among other duties. Let's talk about currency. Outside banks have reached 2.35 trillion naira in the month of September. Well, that's according to the country's central bank's money and credit statistics data for the month of September. The latest figure, which represents a 6.0% month-on-month rise against the 2.29 trillion naira recorded in the month of August, reflects the impact of the implementation of the Supreme Court order giving earlier this year that old higher denomination notes remain in circulation till December the 31st this year, following their scarcity, which was caused by the CBN's new Naira design policy. Meanwhile, the data shows the bank's credit to the private sector rose by 4.8% month-on-month to 58.6 trillion naira last month, coming from 55.97 trillion naira in August, while credit to the government fell by 1.2% from 34.5 to 34.1 trillion in the month of September. Let's head outside our shores. Taiwan-based computer manufacturer Acer says that it is optimistic that the personal computer market will be back to normal by the fourth quarter of this year, as demand is rebounding after hitting the bottom this year. Well, the company's chairman and CEO, Jason Chen, told journalists in an interview that it had already seen year-to-year growth for the third quarter of this year as the demand returned after reaching the bottom around May. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a surge in remote working and home-based learning, which in turn fueled demand for personal computers. But the sales boom came in at the end when global PC shipments declined sharply in the first quarter of last year. And U.S. prosecutors have accused 3 high-profile cryptocurrency firms of defrauding investors of more than $1 billion. Crypto lender Genesis and its parent company Digital Currency Group were also involved in the program, and the 3 companies had worked together on Gemini N, which was launched back in 2021. It allowed users to lend crypto to Genesis in exchange for interest rates of more than 7%. Well, the legal action is the latest to emerge from the implosions of the crypto industry last year, as markets for digital currency continued to increase. And back home, let's head to the local bourse. It closed today's trading session still in red. Investors continue to extend their profit-taking on some stocks. And John Mekwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the all-share index ends the week in the red, losing that 67,000 points to settle at 66,915.41, and it's a 0.27% drop. Looking at the market cap, we're on 36.763 trillion naira. Let's look at the top trades. After an impressive outing of 42% increase on its revenue, Geregu, which experienced bargain hunting on Thursday, had investors take profits on Friday. It shed 24 naira 50 kobo to close at 315 naira. It's part of the top trades losing, but we see 3.19 billion naira off the market for today. Zenith Bank follows suit. You know, the banking counter. Whenever investors need money, they just run there. Zenith Bank and then Seplat, or in the red, a very red market that we see at the close of trade. It's important to note that this red market is not just in Nigeria, it's a global thing. Check the numbers. A red Friday globally, that's what, in major markets at least, that's what the stock market looks like. So we end on the red to the joy of the bear.
And that's Business News. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a wonderful weekend. It's back to you, Ayo.
And thank you, Anne. Leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the Gulf Cooperation Council have been meeting today and agreed to improve economic relations between them. The talks held this morning in the Saudi Arabia capital of Riyadh. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, who's in Riyadh, has this report.
It's been a full morning of talks between Saudi Arabia, the other GCC countries, and countries in the ASEAN region. The Saudi government says this is a great opportunity for both regions to connect on better economic, digital, and socio-economic levels, as they both have so much to give. During a press conference after the leaders' meeting, the Indonesian Foreign Minister, Retno Marsudi, said the summit was a rewriting of history between ASEAN and the GCC to improve relations and hailed the agreement to give special concentration to security issues.
Combined, our GDP last year exceeded $5 trillion and our population exceeded 700 million people, mostly young and productive. Our economic growth last year stood far above global average, 7.5% for GCC and 5.3% for ASEAN. This is a good modality for ASEAN and GCC to further strengthen cooperation in promoting peace, stability and prosperity as reflected in the joint statement of ASEAN-GCC Riyadh Summit and the ASEAN-GCC Framework for Cooperation 2024-2028.
Leaders also discussed the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, calling for Israel to be more humanitarian in its approach in dealing with Hamas militants in Gaza, as innocent lives are being lost.
It's a humanitarian issue. I think ASEAN and the GCC were agreeing on the issue where every person, it's not a political person only, every human being agree that we should stop the violence, we should protect civilians, we should bring the hostages and prisoner home, especially elderly and children. That's a normal humanitarian request. And I think it was good to hear the news that is beside the economical and multilateral agreements. I think it was good to have it in a political way. Also, we have agreement.
The first ever summit to be held between the two regions since diplomatic ties was established since 1990. Of course, it is agreed on improving and strengthening economic and cultural and social ties between the two regions, but they also took time to discuss the conflict between Israel and Hamas, or the war as many people refer to it as. They agreed the focus now should be on providing humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, to people who are in need of these resources. From here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Amarachi Ubani for Channels Television News.
Israeli officials have confirmed the release of two American hostages, Judith and Natalie Ranon, by Hamas. A mother and daughter were among the 200 persons taken hostage by Hamas at Kibbutz Nahal Oz in southern Israel during the attack on October the 7th. Here's Simon Pusey with other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Egyptian diggers are trying to repair the bomb-damaged Rafah crossing into Gaza amid hopes 20 aid lorries could go in. As the aid trucks wait, Gaza is still under siege, with Israel blocking supplies of water, electricity, food and fuel across its border. And the bombings continue. Here, a Greek Orthodox church sheltering hundreds of displaced Palestinians, the latest to be hit. Gaza's Hamas-run government media office said 18 Christian Palestinians were killed. The Israeli military said a part of the church was damaged in a strike on a militant command center, and it was reviewing the incident. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has arrived in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula in a push to get aid flowing.
We have seen so many trucks loaded with water, with fuel, with medicines, with food. Exactly the same things that are needed on this side of the wall. So these trucks are not just trucks. They are a lifeline. They are the difference between life and death for so many people in Gaza.
US soldier Travis King, who fled from South to North Korea before being returned home last month, is reportedly facing charges including desertion and possessing sexual images of a child. The charges also reportedly include assault against fellow soldiers. The reconnaissance specialist illegally crossed into North Korea in July while on a guided tour of a border village. Pyongyang eventually released him without giving further details. The charges are yet to be officially announced, but it appears he is facing 8 charges. The 23-year-old could be jailed on the charge of desertion alone following his dash to North Korea in July. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has expressed his resolve to fulfill agreements made at his summit last month with Russian President Vladimir Putin as he met visiting Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. According to state media, Kim and Lavrov discussed ways to ramp up cooperation to actively respond to regional and global issues. Kim took a rare trip to Russia last month, during which he invited Mr. Putin to Pyongyang and discussed military cooperation, including over North Korea's satellite program and what Moscow calls its special military operation in Ukraine. Haitian police have arrested a former Justice Ministry official suspected of ordering the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. Joseph Felix Badio was caught as he was driving out of a supermarket car park in the capital Port-au-Prince. Mr. Moïse was murdered in his bedroom by Colombian mercenaries in 2021. His death threw Haiti into a prolonged political crisis and led to unprecedented levels of lawlessness. Britain's Labour Party has dealt a crushing blow to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservatives, winning two previously safe parliamentary seats in victories the Labour leader Keir Starmer said showed voters wanted change at the next national election. The double defeat showed a big slump in support for the governing Conservatives, who have won the last 4 national votes, and suggests Labour is on course to win power for the first time since 2010 at an election expected to be next year. Heavy rain has forced the cancellation of trains and led to disruptions on subway lines in Madrid as Storm Aline hit the Spanish capital. Retiro Park was closed due to strong winds, and record rain levels were recorded in 24 hours in the area. A cascade of water was seen flowing down the staircase of Banco de España metro station, making it impossible for commuters to enter. Madrid metro lines 1, 5 and 7 remained closed for hours, while regional trains and high-velocity lines suffered long delays. And from jumpsuits to a school yearbook, the life of American musician Elvis Presley has been transported to London for a new exhibition called Direct from Graceland Elvis. While the late king of rock and roll's famous home in Memphis has been open to the public since 1982, fans will now be able to get close to the items from his life in London. The retrospective, which covers the star's musical journey, family life and hobbies, features over 400 artefacts. And that's your international news from around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's top female teams, including Rivers Angel, Nasarawa Masons, Delta Queens, host Edo Queens, are set to resume hostilities in Benin City, the Edo State capital, as the 2023 edition of the Betsy Women Football Competition gets underway on Monday, October 23rd. Speaking during the draws for the event, wife of Edo State Governor Mrs. Betsy Obaseki says the tourney will continue to push for the development of the girl child in Nigeria. The third edition of the competition features 4 groups with 13 teams, including 2 home-based amateur sides. The matches will be played across various centers in Benin City.
It's all geared towards creating a pathway for young girls and women in Edo State and in Nigeria to carving a career for themselves. A noble, rewarding, dignifying career, as opposed to what we experienced in our state and in our country in the past years of our young people being trafficked out of the state and the country.
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta is in a confident mood ahead of their Premier League clash against Chelsea. Arteta expects a tough game against a much-improved Chelsea side, but expects his team to get the job done. The Gunners sit in second, level on point with North London rivals Tottenham, but behind on goal difference. Meanwhile, Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino believes that his team can beat Arsenal when they meet at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea's revamped squad endured a difficult start to life under Pochettino with just 5 points from their first 6 matches. The Blues have started to turn things around, however, with 2 wins on the trot before the international break. And that's it on Sports. Back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Chris. And the main news again. Former Commonwealth Secretary General Chief Emeka Anyaoku today called for a new constitution for the nation, just as he lamented the pervasive influence of corruption in the country. This electoral INEC has promised improved performance in November 11 elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states. And Israel has confirmed the release of 2 American hostages held by Hamas. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. To have a great weekend.